Hey, beautiful people, Timmy is here to present you the new Marshal Pikemans. As you can see, I have also Otto with 5 stars, therefore we can start doing this analysis. But there are two very strong reasons why we have to split the evaluation in 2 different episodes. You guessed it, because there are 2 ways to play with the Marshal Pikemen. So you can run a setup something like this, which is the turn-based kill damage setup of the Marshal Pikemans, or you can use a setup like this, which is to support Marshal Pikemans. So the first reason would be we already have very powerful Pikemen setups already when it comes down to the damage output, even killing the rallies. And the second argument is I simply forgot how many times people ask me the following question. So Timmy, I'm a low spender, I'm a free to play, I'm a medium budget player. I don't do that much damage on the battlefield. Therefore, what do you think of this idea of me investing in such a much like this in order to buff my whales in a battles? And this precise question will be answered by the end of this episode. First, I'm going to explain you exactly how this march works. Then I'm going to show you some battle reports and battle animation in order to truly understand it. And of course, in the last part of the episode, I'm going to show you exactly what stuff I have equipped on them and clarify this question, for which players a setup like this is actually worth it. Now, some of you guys probably noticed yesterday that I already uploaded a version of this episode, but I had a huge mistake in there, and I will gonna like to give a massive shout out to Mr. DLNX Elite for pointing that out. Therefore, I took the video down, because the goal is to have the best advice possible. So thank you very much, buddy. But yeah, first thing is first, beautiful people, these kind of videos take a lot of time to produce, especially if I want to bring it in a certain good quality from the information's perspective. Therefore, support what supports you back. And there are 2 ways to do that. Of course, for free, you can subscribe to this channel, watch the videos till the end, share this channel with your friends, but there is also another version if you choose to take advantage of the sponsor of this channel, which is Eneba, which offers you far more for your money. If you are using the link which you see now on the screen, or in the video description, or in the messages, you are actually helping this channel. Thank you very much for that in advance. So good, let's start with this Marshal Pikeman's debuffing version. So the system recommends me Ramcom as a commander for a simple reason, because his commander skill, when you cast it, is going to apply this so-called Relaxation State on your nearby allies. It also adds a 14% damage increase for 6 seconds, and once this relaxation state ends, it's going to recover the units by 25% of the damage taken during that period. And I will going to show you this also in the battle reports. Now, there are 2 more very important buffs which this setup can apply. One is the signature skill of Ramcom, and the other one is the signature skill of Mr. Otto. So in a case of Mr. Ramcom, it increases the highest attributes of all allies within this area by 6, and this can go up to tier 6, so 36 points of stats. But more to this number at the end of this episode, because it actually requires your Ramcom at 5 stars. On Mr. Otto, by the way, we go directly to his signature skill, and it looks something like this. Every time you activate this signature skill, it increases the damage dealt by all your troops within this area, 1500, by 3% for 3 minutes, and this can go up to 6 stacks. And that's why the animation and the battle report will be very necessary in order to show you this in reality, how often we can reach that. And additionally, it's also reducing the damage taken by all your troops within this area by 2%, plus an additional 0.5% for each enemy which is within that area engaged in battle. And this buff can go up to maximum 3%, though 3 stacks of them. And the buff will be 3 minutes. But what these 2 wonderful buffs coming from both signature skills of Mr. Otto and also from Mr. Ramcom have 2 important hooks. So obviously hook number 1, it has to be a PvP battle, and hook number 2, well, you have to deploy a minimum of 80% of your march. So what does this exactly mean? My march right now is 130,850. That's the maximum capacity. And if by some reason I run out of troops, like for example, already sending a march with Cyrus out and I no longer have a full march, if I won't have in this case 111,081 units to send this march out, both signatures of Ramcom and Otto will not work because that represents 80% of my maximum march capacity. So good, let's simulate this buffing setup in a real battle, as I will gonna set my lineups as follows. On the front position, it's gonna be Ramcom with Otto and Xinuan. But when it comes down to the other three marches, well, I'll put some random combination of heroes to kind of generate average players, medium spenders, whatever you want to call them. So if we have a look for a second, yes, you see indeed my Yodit, but then again, she has farming gear, though you see the Elfugian Sun on her. When it comes down to Tibuana, yes, she has full gear because I'm using her in my main setup, but she is not doing that much damage. And when it comes down to Miyamoto, well, you see he doesn't even have the gear. He has this Ring of Badger on him, and that's kind of it. A second march, I took Richard at almost 4 stars, Leonida at 3 stars, Frederick at 4 stars, and when you have a look at this here, well, they have no gear, they have no mounts, they have no rings. The same goes for Barbarossa. And as a fourth march, I'm actually choosing Belisarius with Elizabeth and Ashoka, so 5 stars on Belisarius, 4 stars on Elizabeth, and 3 stars on Ashoka. But when we have a closer look, Belisarius has no gear, has no mount. He though has this ring, because sometimes I'm using this march only in sieges. So if we have a look at Elizabeth, again, no gear whatsoever. She has the Ring of Crow on her, and when it comes down to Ashoka, doesn't even have a ring, no mount, no gear. So good. When it comes down to my buffing setup, well, as said at the beginning of this episode, we're gonna go deeper into that towards the end. So how do we generate that? So let's look for an opponent like this, for example. Why 88 million power? Well, you're gonna understand that in just a moment. Because this represents my march. These are representing 4 average players, let's put it like this. And these 4 marches should also represent 4 decent sorted players. And let's have a look at the battle to see the animation and see the outcome. So let's start the challenge, by the way. Feel free if you want to take this part of the video and run it slow at 0.5 speed on YouTube. The battle is at 1x. Pay attention, of course, to the battle and what happens here. Take screenshots if you want. And yeah, let's have a look at what happens. Basically, my march will be under focus fire from the beginning. And it should be, because while this setup barely does any damage, imagine for a second you have a couple of high stats players around me. You definitely want to take my setup down as soon as possible. And even though you've seen me selecting that 3 setup, not the best heroes which I have, due to my account being pretty high in stats, they definitely are pretty strong. So yeah, this definitely looks like a victory for us. Now let's jump and have a look at the battle results. So first of all, yeah, this is this beautiful overview which the developers have added. And of course here you see this massive heal on Ramcom, because yes, it includes that relaxation stage expiration when the other 3 allies in this case are getting that massive heal. So first of all, actually we're going to go only one time on these 3 setups in order to see kind of the stats. Super important. Even though they are at lower stars, my account is kind of pretty strong. So in this case we are looking at Belisarius, Elizabeth and Ashoka. So let's just only see the buffs. So it's kind of decent. Good, let's have a look at the other 2 marches. So this goes up, this goes down. Let's have a look at this 3-star setup. And we go directly to the comparison. And we go directly to the buffs. So yeah, it's still decent versus my opponent. And let's have a look at the last setup, which is considered in this case to be kind of a player. So this is my Yodit, Tribuana and Miyamoto. So we go directly to the comparison and we're gonna go to the buffs directly. So yeah, I think it's more than decent. And it is going to play a role later on. You're going to understand in a second why. But now the most important thing is actually to always have a look at the 4 battle reports on the Marshal Pikemen, because there is exactly where we're going to see those buffs. So we're going to start with the first battle report in here. We go directly to the comparison. We go to the stats, which is basically an overview of what happened there. So this is just an 11-second battle. So we had no activation from Ramcom in here. We don't have two signature skills, and you see both buffs applied. And of course, if we go to Mr. Otto, we have two signature skills activated, and here you also see the damage increase and a damage decrease. Good. Let's go to the second battle report, because there were 4 marches attacking me basically at the same time. We go directly to the stats. Yeah, here you see this 14k heal, a 32-second battle. And of course, here is where you are seeing this Relaxation State healed applied on my allies. And that comes from one-time activation of the commander skill of Mr. Ramcom. We also see in here 5 activation of his signature skill. You see both buffs displayed here. And of course, we want to scroll down to Otto and see his signature skill 6 times activated, and we also see the buffs. So let's have a look at the third march which attacked me. And that should be this one. Okay, so press comparison, go directly to the stats. Oh, you see here a much higher heal. They overlap actually, because now we have a total of 2 commander skills from Mr. Ramcom. And this heal coming from the relaxation stage on everybody in that area is in total 20,000. Not 20,000 for each player. This is the total. Good. Important is also the signature skill. So we have 8 activations. You see the buff in here. And of course, if we go on Mr. Otto, we see 9 activation on his signature skill. And here you see the damage increase and the damage reduction. So all is left right now is to see the last battle, which is this one. So we go the same directly to the stats. Here you see the heal. Again, these stuff are actually overlapping because all 4 marches attacking at the same time. So in this case, we are seeing only 1 commander skill in total activated. In total was 2 times, and that represents 14,101 total heal on everybody coming from the relaxation state. We also see 4 signature skills coming from Ramcom, which means, yeah, he applied the damage reduction and the attributes increase. And of course, when it comes down to Mr. Otto, we have 5 activations, which applied the damage increase and the damage reduction. Good. Now, let's go one step further, as we had an opponent with 88 million power. So let's try an opponent with 94 million power, exactly in the same way. And I'm going to give you a hint right now. Once we are hitting a wall, and we're definitely going to hit one, you're also going to see Otto as commander, and I'm also going to highlight you exactly how this divine radius from Otto's commander skill looks like exactly. Those 7 seconds of damage immunity, and when does that exactly happen. So let's start the challenge and see what's gonna happen. Let's see how good I can protect my team. So the battle is happening at 1x. And I think it's very, very important actually to observe the entire battle. So of course I won't comment. So let's watch this till the end. And then I get back to you guys. So my setup is pretty resilient in this case, but don't worry, this will gonna end soon enough. So this was a victory. Well, let's have a closer look at that battle reports, because we want to see how efficient my Marshal Pikeman buffing version was. So again, we see a 80,000 heal coming from Ramcom, which applied on everybody. We go directly to the details. This time, we're gonna ignore these 3 marches. We're only gonna focus on the Marshal Pikemans, because there is exactly where we see all the information which we need. So we start with the first battle report, 4 of them in total. And that's, by the way, versus Mr. Cyrus. We go directly to the stats. This is a 13 seconds battle, but it's important to go directly to the details. So in these 13 seconds, of course, Ramcom was not yet able to activate his commander skill. And all we have from Ramcom is 3 activation of his signature skills, which applied the damage reduction and the attributes increase. Good, let's scroll down and have a look at Otto. Also 2 signature skills activated. And of course, the buffs are increased damage and damage reduction. Good. Let's have a look at the second march which attacked us. So this should be basically this one, Ramses. Okay. So we go directly to the stats. Well, here we see a big heal coming from Ramcom, 18,000. Let's jump directly into the details. And yes, indeed, now we see the first activation of Ramcom's commander skill. and this massive heal. What's also here to be seen, of course, 5 activation of Ramcom's signature skill. So you see those 2 buffs. And of course, if we go on Otto, we see 6 signature skills activated and both buffs. Good. Let's jump into the second battle report very fast and see if we got to activate even more of those signature skills or commander skills. So this is basically the overview. We go into the details. Again, we see that still only 1 commander skill of Ramcom was activated. We see here 6 signature skills. We see the buffs in here, and we scroll down to Mr. Otto. We see 7 activation of his signature skill, and of course the 2 buffs. And now let's go into the last battle report, which should be this one versus Lubu, by the way. So comparison right here. We go to the stats. We see slightly some bigger numbers here. A 31-second battle, and of course still only 1 activation from Ramcom's commander skill. We see 1 activation of Mr. Ramcom commander skill. We see these huge heals. We see 5 activation from his signature skills, which will gonna apply these buffs and they will gonna tier up. And of course the same goes for Mr. Otto. 6 activation for his signature skills and also these 2 buffs. Well, let's go 1 level higher. As we had an opponent with 94 million power, simulating kind of 4 marches within this strength range. But let's take Mr. Mocha right here. This is 140 million power account. So let's challenge that. Obviously, he is stronger. And let's see if we're hitting the wall right now, yes or no. And I will also gonna switch then to Otto as commander. So let's closely have a look at the battle. As always, this battle is 1x. You have plenty of option here. Slow the video down. Also interesting to see how my Ramcom Marshal Pikeman setup actually survives in here. Survives pretty well, though you see here Belisarius already taking big damage. Yodit kind of looks pretty good, and I think I lost, yes, Richard. So let's see the end results, which basically, yeah, I'm dead also. And first, let's analyze this battle. And after that, I'm gonna show you what happens if you are using Otto as commander. So we see here in the overview the massive heals coming from this relaxation stage. And of course we go directly to the details. Again, we ignore the other marches. We just focus only on the Marshal Pikemans. So let's have a look at the goodies. So the first battle report is this one versus Cyrus, which is, yeah, crazy setup, by the way. Let's go into the comparison. We go to the stats. This is basically what happened here. 25-second battle. We see a big heal, 18k coming from Ramcom, and that's exactly what we want to have a look at, because we see 1 commander skill of Mr. Ramcom was activated, bringing that huge heal. We also see 5 activation of his signature skill, which gave the entire allies the damage reduction and the extra increase of attributes. And of course, we want to have a look at Mr. Otto, which had 5 activation of his signature skill, and of course we see the 2 buffs also in here. Let's briefly jump directly to the second march which attacked us. In this case we're gonna be Ramses, Lagetta and Charlemagne. Interesting combination here, by the way. So directly to the comparison, we go to the stats. So we see here different numbers, but well, that's why we have the details tab for. So again, we still are looking at 1 commander activation and the heals coming from this relaxation state. We see 4 signature activation from Ramcom. We see the 2 buffs here. And of course, let's briefly have a look at Otto. 4 activations of his signature skill, and these are the 2 buffs. Good. Let's check the next march which attacked us. So this should be basically, yeah, Mulan. Why not? I'm also running actually that setup. So we go directly to the stats. We see again different numbers here. 15k heals on Ramcom, and let's have a look exactly what happens. Still a 1-time activation of the commander skill, 4 activation of his signature skill, and on Mr. Otto we see 4 activation of his signature skill, and of course those 2 effects. Good. Now the last march which attacked us, let's have a look at that also. And this case is Lubu, Timur and Attila, also a setup which I'm running. We go directly to the stats. Well, we see here a bigger number. While all 4 marches attack me at the same time, these numbers kind of overlap. So jumping directly into the details, I see 1 commander skill activation from Ramcom. I see 4 signature skills activated on Ramcom. And when we come down to Otto, we see 4 activation of his signature skills and those 2 buffs. So Clearly indeed we hit a wall right now. And let me explain you what happens exactly if we are putting Otto as commander. Because if we do that, we will indeed gonna get this divine radiance in which when your troops are getting the fatal damage, and I'm gonna highlight that in the animation, you are immune for 7 seconds to any kind of damage, and this has also a cooldown of 2 minutes. But if you do that in order to slightly extend the survivability of your march, well, you're gonna lose one huge buff, and that's the commander skill of Ramcom, because he's no longer commander. So let's see if this is actually worth it. Therefore, we go back to the Apex Arena and search for Mr. Mocker again. But this time, we're gonna have a different commander. So, here we go. The change has been done. So here is Mr. Mocker, but this time again, we're gonna hit him with Otto as commander. So let's see if this actually changes anything. So this is the battle at 1x. And of course, you can go back and see the other animation. Yeah. Can we make actually a difference? Yes or no? So I'm assuming I'm still gonna probably lose, but all my 3 protected marches, if you wanna call it this, they are still alive right now. So Yodit is doing pretty good. Yeah, good. Belisarius is heavy under fire. I'm also heavy under fire. So here it is right now. This is the moment in which I'm immune, but I'm gonna slow it down for you, as this exactly is the divine radiance right now. Those 7 seconds in which I'm immune to pretty much all the damage, but of course, yeah, eventually I'm also gonna die. So it's still a defeat in the end, but let's have a closer look at that battle report. So here is the battle overview, and of course we jump directly to the details. We're gonna ignore the other 3 protected marches and go have a look at these 4 banner results to see the activations of these buffs. So of course we go to the first battle report. We no longer have that relaxation stage, and that coming from Ramcom's commander skill. So we go directly to the stats. This is basically what happened in here. We go directly to the details, and we see here 1 commander activation, and here you see that this divine radiance was activated. It's called here special effect. Yeah, guess the devs didn't have the time to actually change the text, but this is the one. Good. We have on top 6 activation of his signature skills, which will gonna give me this buff, and they will gonna tier up. When it comes down to Ramcom, we have to have a look at his signature skill, because that was still gonna work, and in this case we had 5 activations, and you see the both buffs giving to my allies the damage reduction and the increased attributes. Good. Let's briefly have a look at the second march which attacked us. We also want to see how those activations look like. So we go directly to the stats in here. We see the general overview. Of course, I'm gonna analyze the true damage potential of Otto in the next episode. We jump directly to the details. We see 1 commander skill activated, which is this special effect. We see 6 activation coming from his signature skill. We see those 2 buffs effects, and of course the signature skill on Mr. Ramcom, activated 5 times, applying these 2 buffs. Good. Let's have a look at the third march which attacked us, and in this case should be, yeah, Mulan as always. So comparison, we go to the stats. This is the overview, and of course we jump directly into the details. So we see a second commander activation. So 2 in total. We see 6 signature skills of Otto activated. We see those 2 buffs, and of course, jumping very fast to Mr. Ramcom, we have here 5 signature skills activations, giving me this damage reduction and increase all attributes. Good. Let's have a look now at the last battle, or the last match which attacked us, and in this case, yeah, it is Lubu. And have a look at the overview first. So this is basically what happens. Let's jump directly into the details. Here we see the 1 activation of his commander skills, because this stuff are kind of overlap. We see 6 signature skills activated, and the 2 buffs, damage increase and damage decrease. And of course, we go down to Ramcom, we see 5 signature skills activation, and we see these 2 buffs which tiered up. This is how the march basically works on the battlefield. But now let's have a look at how I set up my march and answer the question, which players can benefit from this Marshal Pikeman's debuffing version. So a quick spoiler, let's actually take this battle report, because I don't think using Otto as a commander for the buffing Marshal Pikemans is actually worth it. I'm losing the commander skill of Ramcom, and that's not a good deal. So this will be basically the way I'm gonna use them obviously also this weekend in this KVK, and hopefully I can get back to you with some real battles on the battlefield to help us even more to draw this conclusion is actually worth it to run a march like this, because at the end of the day, yes indeed, I'm giving a lot of buffs. Yes, I'm healing my allies, hopefully as many as possible, because you don't know exactly on which section of the battlefield you actually will gonna activate. And again, I'm risking here 138,850 Pikemen's March, which I could easily use on my Cyrus, an attacker rally, or I can use it on my Belisarius if I have a strong setup for him for a 1 versus 1. So if we have a look at the gear, on all 3 heroes I have legendary gear at max level 80. Though the star levels of course is not that high, because this remains my 5th March. So from this perspective we can have a look at the gems indeed, because I literally use what I had left. So I have 3 capacity golden gems on the helm. On the gloves you can see here 1 hero armor, all hero attributes again. That's what I have. When it comes down to the chest, well, I still have to have a look what gems I still have left, but they have to work. And of course when it comes down to the boots, again I have 2 slots empty. I have to figure out what gems I can use, even purple ones, but the important is those gems must work, so there's no point to put something in there which doesn't work whatsoever. Here I have a ring, which is the sacred stage. It is at level 3. On Otto I actually have this ring, which is the ring of clover. Again, this is the 5th March, so there are certain limitations. Oh, I forgot to show you the horse for Mr. Ramcom. It's indeed a blue horse, but it's absolutely legendary from my point of view, because it has this 4.8% damage reduction every time the hero heals, so that's great. On Mr. Otto, we have a look at his blue horse, which has a turn might skill damage, which is good. Again, a blue horse. When it comes down to the gear, basically it's the same story. You see me here actually even using all type of defense, because this is what I got right now. On the gloves, this is what I have. Hero armor, 2 times hero might, but this is the golden version or legendary version. When it comes down to the chest, well, I had this turn-based skill damage from the season 1, season 2 when I was using Octavian and Ramcom, so that's why they are that high. On the boots, I have 1 yellow might, 1 yellow capacity, and of course another hero turn-based skill damage. Good. We can also have a look at Xinuan, by the way, no problem. So the same story basically here. The gear is at level 80. The stars level are not that high, nor will be my priority, by the way. And the gems, yeah, you can have a look at them by yourself. In this case, when you see on the chest, it's exactly what I told you. So yes, I'm going to use gems even if they are purple or even if they are blue, but they have to work. In this case, indeed, they are working. Is the extra heal. Will they make a difference? Absolutely not, but they are working. So the same goes, of course, for the boots. You see another purple hero recovery gem, you see a hero strategy, and all units type health. When it comes down to the ring, I'm using the Ring of Falcon, which is absolutely great. There is no question about that. And I also have a blue mount. In this case, again, I have the Lifesaver effect. On a blue horse, absolutely perfect horse from my perspective, giving me this 4.42% damage reduction every time Xinuan will gonna heal. And in this case, yes indeed, I have an adornment on him, but as you can see, it basically is not upgraded whatsoever. Good, but there is one more important thing which I must show you before we jump to this conclusion. That's obviously my stats. And that's the main reason why I took Mr. Moklar's Cyrus setup, because this is a crazy setup. This allows you to do things in Age of Empires Mobile no other March out there, yes, including King Arthur, is able to do. And if we have a look at the stats, because my account is pretty high developed, yeah, I have a higher might attack, I have a higher might defense, I have a higher strategy defense, I even have a higher health. And here are the overview on the stats of all 3 heroes, Ramcom, Otto, and Xinuan. Here on Xinuan you have to pay attention that this hero gets actually both the might and the strategy, so both stats are pretty high. So from this perspective, let's start this discussion. Which players actually need this setup? For that, let's go back to the heroes and start with Mr. Ramcom. It is an older hero coming from MGE, and we have to have a look at his star level. So the first star is pretty decent. You get an extra 3% damage reduction from his signature skill. On 3 stars, you get an additional 40% units recovery plus a mind bonus, also very decent. But here is the big difference actually. At 5 stars, it will gonna add an extra 2 points to those stats which you're buffing with the signature skill. And that's why you are seeing on my signature skill that each stack has a value of 6 points. Definitely worth it from my perspective. But what is actually even more worth it when it comes down to the star levels, well, we definitely have to have a look at Otto. So at his styles level, starting with 1 star, you're gonna get an extra damage increase. Well, in this case, his priority is not to do any damage. And I'm also gonna show you his skills, by the way, in just a moment. At 3 stars, it increases this effect of his signature skill because now the damage dealt by your troops within this range gets an additional 1%. And here is where I think the priority is for this setup. No joke about it. It's Otto at 5 stars because that's exactly when you're gonna get the damage reduction for all your troops within this area of a value of 3%, which can potentially get up to 3%, and that multiplied with 3 possible stacks. So definitely, I think Otto's 5 stars has a higher priority than Ramcom's 5 star. When it comes down to Xinuan, well people, I already covered this hero in the previous episode. And what is left for me, of course, to mention are the skills which I'm using on Otto. I'm using the Holy Roman Empire, as I'm getting this extra 10% damage reduction. And of course, the War Elephant on him, as I have a 50% chance to get a 20% enemy skill damage reduction, which is the biggest damage in Age of Empires Mobile, coming from the hero skills. So what would be my conclusion when it comes down to the Marshal Pikeman's debuffing version? Sure, indeed, they are worth it. And that was so important for me to actually show you the stats even with these lower gems, basically from my perspective, because this doesn't make my March immortal. And the difference between my setup and your setup, which is probably going to be at a lower level, I will be able to cast a couple of more signature skills, maybe 1-2 commander skills more. But it still doesn't change the fact that I hope to catch as many allies as possible to buff them with that. Because especially in KVK, also in the Desolate Desert event, this March will gonna die. And hopefully I catch enough allies to buff them to make actually a difference. So while obviously I wanna show you a video from this KVK happening this weekend, hopefully gonna have some good action, in order to show you actually the reality, share my expectation, how effective was this setup of the buffing support Pikemen, because yeah, every time I'm using them on the battlefield, I'm also using a full march of Pikemens, which can easily be used on a setup like this, Cyrus, Vlad, and Mansa Musa, or on a setup like this, and I know exactly what I'm getting from them, from the performance perspective. But anyways, beautiful people, now it's your turn to share your thoughts based on the information I have presented you in this episode. Again, I cannot thank you enough, Mr. DLNX Elite, for pointing out that massive mistake in the video which I have uploaded. And it really helps me a lot when people like you pay attention to the details and point those mistakes out immediately. And I'm gonna pin those messages directly to that video, because this is the goal of my videos. A good compilation of very important information to help everybody. And with this being said, remember what I told you at the beginning of this episode, don't forget to support what supports you back, especially that one free version, which is simply to subscribe, share this channel with your friends, watch this video till the end. I slowly think you are running out of excuses to keep watching this video and not giving something back, which is absolutely free. And of course, if you are planning to do any purchases in Age of Empires Mobile, why not take advantage of the channel sponsor, which is Eneba. Thank you very much in advance, everybody, for this support. Thank you very much for watching, and now we're gonna catch you in the next one. Ciao, ciao, ciao.